Hey, welcome back. So for this video, we're going to work on this rim right here. Notice this is what it looks like three-dimensionally. And this is what the exercise looks like. It's called exercise wheel rim. Here are the instructions. So let's go ahead and get started. So for step one, we want to change our units to millimeters and we want to create a sketch on the front plane. So go ahead and click on workspace units. Make sure we're in millimeters. Select sketch and we're working on our front plane. For step two, we're creating 1, 2, 3, 4 circles and 2 lines with 1 construction line. So let's start off with our circles. We're centering them right at the origin, and we're just gradually making larger circles. So for our line, let's go ahead and hit L and Q. Click on our origin, and we are connecting this line all the way to the outermost ring. And notice the relationships. All of these lines are coincidental to the origin, and then our line is coincidental to the outer ring and the origin. And it's also vertical. And we're going to create 2 lines that are connecting to the origin and to our second ring. So here we go. Let's create another one. And the distance doesn't matter because we're going to add a symmetric relationship. So let's go ahead and click on these 2 lines. And let's make them symmetrical about this construction line. And notice how it automatically moves. So we're good to go. For step 3, we're adding 5 dimensions. Notice the diameters for our rings and then an angle for our 2 lines. Let's go ahead and select D or select dimension. So let's click on our 2 lines. We'll start here. Zoom in. We want an angle of 30 degrees. Let's start off with our outer ring, which will be our largest ring. And this will have a value of 500. Our second outer ring will have a value of 475. Our third outer ring will have a value of 400. And our inner ring will have a value of 175, 150. For step 4, we're changing the name of our sketch to main sketch. So click here, write out main sketch. For step 5, we're extruding the 2 outer rings. So go ahead and click on extrude. Let's select this ring and then this portion here. We're going to select solid new. We want blind and a value of 150. Let's angle this. Notice we want to click symmetric as well. And we hit the check mark. For step 6, we're renaming part 1 to read wheel rim. Now we're going to extrude our inner portion of our tire. So let's go ahead and look at the main sketch. We're going to extrude again. Make sure you select this little triangle and this portion here. We want solid new, blind, go on a depth of 200 millimeters. We also want the symmetric. And then we're going to draft this. So notice we're having a smaller diameter in the inside and we gradually go outwards with a larger diameter. Let's go ahead and flip that. So we can reduce the diameter as we go outwards. And we want this to have a value of 5 degrees. And hit the check mark. For step 8, we're going to add another extrude. So click on extrude. Only this time we're selecting this portion. And then we want this ring right here. So let's go ahead and hide part 2. So we can select this little triangle here. And now we can reselect part 2. So this is going to read solid, add, blind, 25 millimeters. And then our merge scope will be with the wheel rim and with part 2. So notice we have wheel rim and part 2. Let's go ahead and hit the check mark. For step 9, we're going to draft the outer faces of this portion here. So let's zoom in. Let's click draft. Our neutral plane will be this face. Entities to draft, we're drafting this section and then this section here. Angle of 15 degrees, tangent propagation. So we're going to make sure that the front face of this is smaller than the back face. So let's hit the check mark. And the back side looks bigger, so we're good to go. So notice we click on this face. It is smaller than the back face, so we're good. For step 10, we're finishing up the back side of this portion here. So let's go ahead and click on mirror. We want to select feature mirror. We're going to select extrude number 3 and draft number 1. And the mirror plane, we're going to the back side of our wheel and we're selecting the back face here. And hit the check mark. For step 11, we're using the fillet feature to round out the edges of our spool. So go ahead and select fillet. And now we're going to select all 6 faces of our spool. So they're the first 3. Number 4, number 5, and then number 6, which is this face here. So right here we are selecting radius. We want to deselect allow edge overflow. And we want conic. Here we don't see circular, so let's just go ahead and select conic. Curvature has sharp edges, so let's go with conic and accept. So this is what we had before, and this is after. For step 12, we're creating a pattern for the spoke. So let's go ahead and click circular pattern. So select here, circular pattern. We're going to select feature pattern. Features to pattern, we're going to select extrude number 3, our draft, our mirror, and then our fillet. Axis of pattern will be this portion here, these edges. Now let's go ahead and add, our value here should be 360. Our instance count should be 5. And go ahead and hit the check mark. Step 13, we're creating a new sketch on this plane here. So let's go ahead and select this face and select sketch. So we're right on the hub. So let's go ahead and create 2 circles. Notice one is construction and one is a regular circle. So here's our first circle right on the hub. Let's make sure we connect it to the origin, go outward. Now we're going to add another circle that is a construction circle. And now we want a line that is a construction line going from the center or the origin all the way up to our outer ring. And we want to add a value of 35 for our first circle. Then our outer ring will have a value of 90. We name this to read bolt circle. Step 16, we're removing the center ring here. So go ahead and hit the check mark. Let's click extrude. This one might be a little annoying. So I'd like bolt circle. We're going to select solid, remove. Faces is this portion here. Let's go ahead and select bolt circle and click right there. So you might have to click away to select this inner portion. You want to select through all. So through all. And hit the check mark. So once again, make sure this is extruded and removed. For step 17, we're adding a hole. Let's go ahead and see the front view. Let's make sure we see this sketch with the bolt circle. Let's go ahead and click here for hole. We're selecting this portion right there. So we want counter bore, through, ISO, clearance M10, fit normal 11, 17.25, 10 millimeters. So we have all of these dimensions. Make sure you read this. And mine is good to go. So I hit the check mark. So for step 18, we're creating another circular pattern out of the hole that we created. So go ahead and hit select circular pattern. We want feature pattern. Select hole number 1 for features to pattern. Axis of pattern will be this edge here, and we want a value of 5. And notice that these holes are above each location of each spoke. And hit the check mark. So for step 19, we're going to create this hollow region in case we want to add a wheel. So let's go ahead and remove this by extruding. So select extrude. Faces and sketch regions to extrude. Let's go ahead and select this sketch, the main sketch. And now we're going to add up to face. The face that we're selecting is this one here. We're going to offset the distance with a value of 20. We're going to add a second end position. And this will be up to face, and we're selecting this face here. We're going to add a offset distance with a value of 20. Make sure we select remove. So now we've selected remove. Now we have this hollow region and we're good to go, so hit the check mark. For step 20, we're going to use the chamfer feature to go ahead and smoothen out these 8 edges selected here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then this intersection here. So let's go ahead and select chamfer. Click here. Edge number 2, number 3, number 4. Let's do the same here. This corner, or that edge, this edge. Our other edge here. This one, and then this one here. Notice we have a value of 8 millimeters. Tangent propagation, go ahead and accept. For step 21, we're adding a fillet feature to these inner edges in the inside. So go ahead and click on fillet. Select this portion here, this section here. And go ahead and select radius, circular, or conic with a value of 2 millimeters. Whoops, 5 millimeters. At this point, let's go ahead and change the material of these wheel rim. For step 22, we're changing the material to aluminum. So assign material. Let's type out 1060 here and select the check mark. Now for our final step, let's go ahead and use the mass properties tool to check our work. So select mass properties, click on wheel rim, and we should have an answer that's close to what we want. Thanks for watching, and go ahead and try out some other sketches.